Thank you, Madam Toastmaster, and good morning, fellow Toastmasters. As Sarah mentioned, this is my first opportunity to give a speech. And so oftentimes with silver linings, they can happen in experiences that are unexpected and can be considered as a pivot point. For me, that was breaking my face 15 years ago snowboarding. Before we get there, let me back up. After high school, I had zero interest in going to college. Rather, I was really interested in snowboarding. So I moved up to Keystone and then to Vail to snowboard with the idea of being able to be a really proficient rider on the mountain and being able to ride basically anything, including backcountry. With that said, I emotionally got eaten alive by the vibe of a mountain town. I had very little self-esteem and very little self-worth, and it eroded what foundation I did have. So while I learned how to snowboard, I didn't think very much of myself. I ended up moving back to Colorado Springs and spending some more time here. And for my 21st birthday, my mom gifted me with a program called Rising Star, which is very similar to Landmark Forum if you're familiar with that. During this program, it gave me an opportunity to learn more about accountability and really looking at myself in the mirror. So finding out how are the actions, thoughts, and beliefs that I have about myself impacting and influencing the way that my life is showing up for me. It wasn't the most fun time. However, it was a fantastic opportunity to start getting some clearer foundation and vision of what I wanted to do. Not that I had an idea of how that was going to look, but I started learning a lot about accountability, which to this day is still a foundation of how I like to live my life. With that, I also started to find a healthier relationship with God or spirit or love. I'm not totally comfortable using the word God, but it really redefined my relationship of having a more spiritual way of living my life. So after a few years and lots of reading and more introspection, I decided to move back up to Vail because I wanted to conquer some of the skeletons in my closet. I wanted to be a positive light in snowboarding. This is where it gets interesting. I'd been there for about 6 weeks. My buddy and I were snowboarding. We ran into each other and shattered my face. So I took his shoulder to the cheekbone and it basically just blew my face up, which was a literal and metaphorical opportunity for me to close my mouth and open my ears. My jaw was wired shut for 6 weeks. From there, I had the opportunity to move out to California with my aunt and uncle. I met a Brazilian surfer and did the most responsible thing that an accountable person would do, and I moved to Brazil so that I didn't have to pay my medical bills. I don't recommend that. However, the beaches in Brazil are beautiful, and it was a wonderful opportunity to continue looking inside. Additionally, I found an immense amount of gratitude for the freedom and opportunity we have to live in the United States, especially being a female. There just wasn't a lot of that out there. So when I came back to the United States, I'd been there for 2 months. I got my taxes done, my financial aid, and my enrollment to UCCS, and I started school at UCCS that following year. Still had no idea what I wanted to do, but I ended up double majoring in biology and philosophy. This would be the first time that I worked at Starbucks. And during that time at Starbucks, I was introduced to practicing yoga and starting to mountain bike. Those are both going to be a mainstay in activities that I've been able to do. A lot of passion come from those two areas. I currently teach yoga still, and that's been just a wonderful segue into so many different opportunities. So fast forward to my most recent job, which was at Wounded Warrior Project. I ended up getting to get the job at Wounded Warrior Project working on the Soldier Guide team, which was because of mountain biking. Not a fantastic fit, but I learned about their combat stress position. And because of my background with yoga and mindfulness, I was able to step into a position working with their combat stress team. We took combat veterans on outdoor experiential education trips, talked about resiliency, positive coping skills, and overall ways to start interacting with life in a more positive way. I loved the job. I loved the interaction. I loved the outdoor experience. I absolutely hated being in an office full time, which presented a really interesting opportunity because it was the most enjoyment I'd felt in a position, but it was also the least enjoyment I felt in a position. So in February, I took a leap of faith. I left Wounded Warrior Project to go into my own coaching. Then coronavirus hit. That's created a very interesting opportunity of asking myself, what now? But during this time, I've been able to spend some time building a website. It also directly led me into joining Toastmasters with both the opportunity to practice speaking, but also being able to get feedback. And then lastly, to give me this final opportunity of setting an intention out there that I want to be a professional speaker. And so I decided to pay the fee, got my friend Allison to sign up with us, and stepping into this next journey. So there's been a lot of silver linings throughout this entire pivot opportunity. There's been some bodacious snowboarding, some bodacious mountain biking, some bodacious friends. But as far as my what's next and what's why, I'm not 100% sure, but I look forward to finding out. Thank you so much, Madam Toastmaster.